Good evening. Welcome to day 21 for me of my challenge. It's a little late, but I'm trying to get these videos in every day, so I just had a full day. We can talk about that in a little bit, but yeah, so let's get this. I'm trying to make this a short one because I'm going to bed soon. So day 21, I'm giving up comfort. So comfort, let's talk about that for a second, because it's important to have comfortable shoes when you're going on a hike. It's important to be warm enough when you're going out to do something in the day. So, but too much comfort, or the indulgence of comfort, or seeking comfort, or being in it constantly creates a numbness, and a numbness of the mind and the body and the spirit and the emotions, a dulling of the senses. And this reduces the range of experiences and the range of ability that a person can have. That's been my experience too. When I push myself, when I sharpen myself against moments of discomfort, I become more comfortable in those scenarios. And so I would much rather push myself to my edge, so that I constantly keep expanding what I can be comfortable in and what I can do. This is one of these quittings. It's similar to sloth, and it's similar to procrastination, but it's very different because it's comfort has its place. But right now, I'm trying to really hone in and get more disciplined, and that's basically what I'm doing here. So I want to replace comfort with like a warrior kind of mentality, or like that of a martial artist. Basically discipline, having strong discipline, and that doesn't just mean having a schedule and sticking to it. So, for example, here's some of the things that I'm going to try and challenge myself with when it comes to comfort. So, when I get in the shower, I'm going to start the cold water. I'm going to hit the shower right on, and I'm going to be underneath it when it goes on. So, I'm going to get a dose of cold before it goes hot. And before I turn the shower off, I'm going to go to cold. So, I'm going to get that, which is, I'm not going to freeze to death, and I'm not going to hurt myself, but what I am doing is giving my body a little shock, and I'm hitting my senses with something, and I get to have discipline through that, and that creates a sharper mind, and it wakes me up. So another one is like what's your comfort zone? So in public, I'm going to start singing more in public, complimenting people I find attractive, or starting up conversations with people that I might be uncomfortable talking to. Being hungry. I find that when I get hungry, boom, I just go right away to eating, and then I don't have any experience being hungry. And by choosing to be hungry for a little bit, I build up that reward system, so I'm not just instant gratification with food. By being hungry for a little bit, I can deal with my own mortality on my own terms and in my own time. So today I was working, and I got hungry, and I, instead of going and eating right away, I was like, no, I'm going to finish this row in the garden. I'm going to keep working for a little while, and I sat hungry for a bit. And I think I'm sure there's benefit to that, besides just, getting more work done and having a little reward like that after. Emotional comforting. I'm going to try and give that up. So it's not that I'm going to isolate myself from people or not share things when I'm having a problem, but I'm going to make sure that I check in with myself first and offer myself emotional comfort, process my emotions for myself, instead of having to constantly be comforted by other people. Posture is another one. Having good posture. I went to this movie the other night and watched a young man sit with in a yoga pose, or in a meditative state watching the movie. He has back issues, he told me, and so he was practicing good posture because that was one of the best things he could do for his condition. So I'm going to practice good posture, being a little, not being so comfortable, but sitting so that I can learn to be comfortable in my body. Not scratching itches as much. It's a neurotic habit. It's just, again, it's not gonna hurt. It's not gonna kill me. And if you get to the point where you're constantly scratching every time you have a slight itch, you look weird doing this. So choosing to just allow myself to experience sensations without trying to cull them, so that I can host and hold more sensation at once. Saunas are a great place for comfort, pushing yourself. Again, you don't want to pass out, so this is the funny thing, is learning, what is self-care and what is avoiding life. So being in a sauna and choosing to breathe in that hot breath and really push yourself, just like in a sweat lodge, you push yourself. You don't want to hurt yourself, but you do want to challenge and be on the edge of your challenge so that you're constantly growing. That's where I want to be, and that's where I sometimes have done really well. So pushing those edges, that's what this challenge today is really about. So just want to give a little review of my weekend. This weekend I had a date, or I had a lover over for the weekend, and there was a whole bunch of things that I've been doing in my challenge that kind of came up and came up. So I want to talk about them for a little bit. So trying to do this whole thing is about focusing on me and making sure that I'm solid and nothing else is getting distracted. So it was a really interesting thing to spend time with somebody and have them, I canceled plans for going up to visit friends because my time's more important, but I had someone come down, and I let them know that I'm going to be doing my morning routine still. I've got certain things I want to do. So that was a really interesting way to practice being still centered and grounded in myself, because I find that my relationships have been very ungrounding for me. I give everything into them. And so it was a really good opportunity to practice having boundaries and trying to stay centered around somebody else. And I did pretty good, but not I noticed there was room for improvement. Another thing that happened was that I ended up spending a fair amount of money over the weekend on our activities, which was not her fault at all. That came up in me, is I wanted to do these things. I wanted to indulge and splurge a bit, and that's something that must be a thing guys like to do. And in the end, I think she could have been just as happy doing other things. So that's paying attention to that. I think somewhere on here, useless spending is coming up somewhere, or if it's not already on there, somewhere in there it's going to come up. So that was interesting. So I gave up entertainment a little while ago, but I did give myself I'm allowed to watch things if they serve a purpose. So I took this person out to see Ready Player One, which is a movie in theaters right now, about virtual reality, which is something. Virtual reality is a business idea. I'm curious about getting into that technology, and it's so bizarre to want to walk the red road and be, off the grid, and yet also want to be making apps in virtual reality and businesses around that. And I have not figured out how to walk in that duality, because things like drones interest me, and they also scare the heck out of me. So not really sure how to play that, but I did go and watch this movie, and it was really interesting to come out of the theater. It's a movie about virtual reality, and in the end, I don't want to spoil it, but it's about like reality is better. And I came out of the theater and my eyes were like groggy, and I was like, whoa, back to reality too. And so and in the theater there, the only thing I could buy for myself was water. I can't drink sugary things now. There's butter. I'm sure maybe it's not even cow product, but whatever. So I just had a water in there. So I'm starting to feel, as I'm going out and being social, I'm starting to feel the loss and the separation from what societal norms are. By the end of this 30-day challenge, I won't really be able to walk into a 7-Eleven and get anything. Like, maybe they'll have a banana, but that's, basically it. So while I'm still not really missing I'm not missing the things that I'm giving up. It's starting to become more socially difficult to walk the path I'm walking, because the society is not set up to provide for, organic, non-processed, vegan, sugar-free. We don't have that culture yet. It's growing. It's huge. It's growing exponentially. So it's happening, but So it's now in the last couple of days, I'm starting to actually feel the difficulty in blending in with other people and social scenes because of the way that I'm choosing to live. And this is great because as I'm feeling this, I'm giving up comfort. So choosing to be focused on what I'm doing and make it more important than fitting in. This is a great way to practice letting go of comfort. So, like I said, I had a lover over, so I did, don't want to talk too much about that, but since I gave up masturbating, I can tell you that I had a whole bunch of energy before the weekend, and since then, right now, I'm very tired, and I think it's too much information for Facebook Live, but that is a real trip. I'm getting some really good feedback from my experiences, being clear enough to see them. And so some things that someone told me really important, something someone told me about when I was smoking weed and I had guilt about it, they said, well, whatever you do in this life, whatever activity you do, make sure that you don't feel guilty about it. If you feel guilty about it, don't do it, because you're not going to actually gain any knowledge from the experience of doing it. You're going to just learn about being guilty more and more. The only time you can really learn from an experience is if you do it guilt-free. So, puff on that joint, don't feel guilty about it, and with that guilt not there, your mind is clear enough to deduct information from the experience. So I don't feel bad about anything that I did over the weekend, but I've had a clear enough mind on the hindsight that I can see what served and didn't serve and what I can tweak, and there's some things that I'll tweak. Not needing to spend as much money on somebody, other areas where I can practice staying in balance with what's important to me versus spending time with other people. Preparing more for going out in public, knowing that I'm not going to have access to drink and food as easily, so maybe having a cooler and ice packs and stuff like that, and always making sure I leave the house with a day's worth of food or something like that. So yeah, that's kind of the recap of the weekend. Comfort, that's what I'm giving up. I'm going to try and do all these different things. They almost seem like each of them seems a challenge in of itself, but pushing my edge, being very more disciplined, and trying to expand what I can tolerate. That's today's challenge, and will be for the next while. So sorry this one is so late, and hopefully it's not too long. Thanks for watching, Carrie. I love that you're inspired by what's going on and doing the same thing for yourself. I feel like having some kind of a gathering after this whole experience is over, so maybe we'll talk about that. Anyway, enough for now. Have a good night. See you tomorrow. Tomorrow is day 22. Be giving up video games. Day after that, I'll be giving up screens, so I'm not exactly sure how that's going to work with this. Maybe I'll have to get a little camera or something like that. We'll talk about it when we get there. Frivolous spending, that's what's coming up after that. So some more interesting things, and there's a couple big ones before the end of the day or the end of the month. So yeah, time's going really slow with this. It feels like it's been a lot longer than 20 days, but here we are. So thanks for watching. Good night. See you tomorrow. All right, bye now.